Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Goaltending, where your why is bigger than your excuses. Today we have a very special guest and a very great athlete. We're gonna say athlete.
Oof. Okay, we're setting the bar high.
Yeah,
okay.
so an accomplished bodybuilder.
Yes.
To this point in his career. So definitely an athlete. And before we get into like introducing him in more depth, first I just want to say thank you all for tuning in, allowing us to be a part of your journey. You are going to get some incredible takeaways today from this guy. I've had the pleasure of learning from him in a holistic health and fitness course.
True.
And picked up some great stories, some great lessons, and I was like, there's so much of this content that would be useful for people to know. I'd love to have him on the show. Fortunately, he took the drive all the way from Murray, came a few hours to be here in person to share these stories and lessons. So thank you
100%
for taking that time.
Glad to be here.
Yes. And make sure you all go like, subscribe, comment with your thoughts and questions on this to join the conversation, because there's going to be a lot of things that you might have questions about. If we say some things you don't understand, don't be afraid to ask the question like, hey, what is that? How do I incorporate this into my life? How does it apply? So you can take action toward improving your life. And with that, today we have Dan Otterson with us. So just a couple of the organizations he's involved with from a bodybuilding perspective is the NGA. He's an NGA athlete.
I am indeed.
As well as he's getting into NPC this year.
I am stepping up into the NPC world.
All right. And then with that, he's done 2 competitions to this point. First place in both.
First place, not only in my categories, but the overall. So swept them. Boom.
Boom. So accomplished athlete is why I say athlete, because he is first place every time. And he's got more competitions coming up this year.
Yep. I got 2 this spring. I have 1 NGA competition here in Kentucky. Then we're going up to the NPC level, and we're going to be competing in Nashville. We'll take the summer off, kind of rest, recoup, retool, and then hopefully nationals to go against the top in the country in the fall.
Woo! And then on top of that, look, he's doing more. He also owns his own gym, The Garage in Murray, Kentucky.
Yes.
And so we're taking, accomplished bodybuilder, gym owner, business professional as well, putting all of that together. And a couple of certs he has to add to the bag is a personal trainer certification, nutrition certification, and tactical strength and conditioning, and some other ones sprinkled in there.
Yeah, there's once you get into this game, you always have to have stuff and keep it refreshed. So I've got initials next to initials that I've forgot, but they're all there. They're in the toolbox.
So we're bringing experience to the table. We're bringing knowledge today. And once again, like, thanks for taking the time, because that's our most valuable asset.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
All right. So let's get right into, I guess I want to spend part 1 of this episode talking about the bodybuilding journey. Like, what got us there? So can you kind of take me, like, why did we start to go on a bodybuilding journey?
Oh, I can. Okay. First of all, I got to apologize. There's a story here. I got to apologize to the person that the story is about, because she's a dear, dear friend. But this person dropped the seed my freshman year of high school. Nicole Scarpelli, now Nicole Kayat, she's a good friend of mine. She's a cheerleader. She was the cheerleader when I was a freshman. And I had a crush on a friend of hers. Friend's Abby Bedini. I don't know what happened to Abby. She's out there in the world somewhere. Anyway, I was a nerdy little freshman. She was that just like amazing cheerleader. Apparently, I was staring at her in the lunchroom. She walked across the lunchroom and she said, "Stop staring at my friend. You're not going to get her." I was like, man, and it like mentally wrecked me. Okay. So fast forward a couple of years, I'm out of shape. We're talking freshman in high school. We're fast forwarding into like late 20s at this point. Okay. I was just out of shape. I was a 4-sport athlete in high school, 2-sport athlete in college. Joined the military when I was 24, but I lived in Western Kentucky. And as we all know about everything in Kentucky, it is deep fried and blessed by Jesus.
Yes.
And I started to just gain weight, and I lost that drive and that mentality and that effort of just working out every day, exercising every day, that regimen. And slowly the scale ticked up and my motivation level kept ticking down to the point where I was closing in on 300 pounds. Mm-hmm. And the goal really was not bodybuilding. It was just get back in shape. I remember Christmas Eve, 2014, I was in a Gap, don't judge me, and I was in a dressing room and I took my shirt off. And up to this point, I was always just buying bigger clothes, buy a bigger hoodie, buy a bigger sweatshirt, stand in the back of the photo. Don't find the angle, you know?
Yeah.
And this was that one time that there was no lying, no hiding. I just saw what I let myself become. Stretch marks, overweight, and I broke down. I just lost it right there. And I said, this is it. Tomorrow we start the journey. And we started the journey. And for the next year, I did everything wrong that you could think of. But it's the stuff that most people do. Right. They want get fit quick programs. They want pills, wraps, drinks. Yep. They find their friends on social media who run an MLM company and only care about making money off of you, but they promise you the world, right? And for the whole year, I did all of these crazy restrictive, crazy, just not sustainable nutrition plans. And ended up, linking up with my coach now, who's actually my brother-in-law. And he sat me down. He said, look, this is going to be a process. We're going to take this day by day, week by week, training session by training session, but we're going to get there. And it took about 6 to 8 months of just training just to get back in shape.
Yeah.
And then it really became, let's see how far we can push this. And so I was like, hey, he's a competitive bodybuilder. He's gone pro in a couple leagues. I said, let's give it a shot. And he actually tried talking me out of it. He goes, you don't want this. And I said, yeah, I do. So we jumped right in, and I started competing during the COVID year. So that was, if there's a worse year to put yourself through bodybuilding, it was 100% that year. Oh, there's no question. We started in January for a show that was supposed to happen in April. And then, of course, Andy came in, wanted to flatten the curve for 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into 4 months. We kept prepping the whole time. Didn't miss a meal, didn't miss a training session, didn't miss a cardio session, didn't take a meal off. So from January to August, I'm in prep. A 12-week, 16-week at max turns into 8 months.
Yeah.
Show opens up in Indiana. They said, we don't care. We're going to open. We're going to compete. I was like, thank God I can have a cheeseburger again. And we go, we compete, we win the overall. And from then on, it's just been a never-ending journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were in a deficit that whole period, right? The whole prep period.
I did not. Well, because the thing of it was, is like they kept opening things up provisionally. It was like, okay, so we were prepping for April, and then Kentucky shut down. Well, then Illinois was like, well, we're going to host one in May. Okay, cool. I'll go 4 more weeks. Well, then Illinois shut down. Well, then Wisconsin was like, well, we'll open up in June. I was like, okay, 4 more weeks. We'll compete in June. Then Wisconsin shut down. It was like all these things, they kept dangling the carrot. So I was like, oh, a couple more weeks, no problem. Finally, we actually were like, we were done. We were like, we're just going to call it. We're done. It was the end of July. We went out for dinner, took my son out, and we get a call from a lady in Indiana. She's like, for sure, government is not going to get involved. We own a private facility. We will host this. They cannot shut it down. So I called my coach, and he was like, I'm telling you, Dan, if they push it 1 day, you're not doing it. Like, it better be on this day. And if it's not, you're done. It's like, okay. Luckily, they upheld their end of the bargain. That's how I got into the NGA. We competed in that first show. I think it was the first show in the country that opened up post-COVID, and I won.
Man.
Yeah. And this was training when no gyms are open.
Right.
I'm training in my basement. I'm flipping tractor tires. I'm doing crazy stuff to stay in shape because you don't have a gym.
Oh, yeah.
And it really showed who wanted it. You got to find ways to make it happen. And, you're bigger than your excuses in that moment.
Absolutely. Look, I was deployed when COVID hit.
Oh.
Gym shut down. I saw the most creative exercises and workout equipment ever created.
Absolutely.
First off, I was in an engineer unit.
Yeah.
These guys are making pulley systems out of random things, like using tables that are just outside.
You got to do what you got to do.
To create equipment out of, like, I think it was one of the most innovative periods that I've ever seen.
Yes. But you had to be. And that was the beauty of it, is like it showed the people that were working out because it was easy and adaptable to their life. And then it showed the people that truly wanted it. Like, I had buddies making squat racks in their backyards out of 2x4s. I had buddies, putting cement in buckets and carrying them around and doing bench presses and stuff like that. And then people are like, well, the gym's closed. I can't go. Go walk. Like, there's sidewalks. Right. Go do push-ups. Go do sit-ups. Go, order weights online. Do something to keep yourself functional. And we're going to get through it. The world shuts down. Okay. But like, we can get through this. And that's where you had to really be smart about what you were doing and how you were training at the time.
Oh, yeah. So there's and just in that story alone, there's so many takeaways. There's so many areas that we can learn from. And so first I want to go to like the weight loss journey.
Yes.
Because you were an athlete in school.
Yes.
And then you slowly, gradually got off track over time.
Yes.
You had your moment where you're like, oh no. Like,
yeah, it hit me.
Far.
Hit me.
What was did it take a mindset shift, or what was it to take? Because it took a long time to get back on track. You said 6 to 8 months just to like build the strength back.
And that was after a year of going to the gym, lifting. I was still training, but I was still eating like garbage. I wasn't doing things properly.
Okay.
I wasn't being consistent. Kind of like the gentleman you had on from Clean Eats. People go to the gym and they inherently think, I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to get in shape.
Yep.
The body has to respond to fuel. So if you're not fueling the body properly, or you're fueling it inconsistently, you can go to the gym 2, 3, 4 hours a day. If you're not putting fuel in the body that it's going to use to work, you're not going to get the train to move.
Yeah.
And so you've got to get the train to move and put that fuel in consistently. That's where 99% of people fail. It's fun to go to the gym and lift. We all have stressful days. We all have hard days. Throwing weight around is therapeutic.
Yeah.
But it's the being consistent on food, saying no, that pushing the plate away, not going for fast food, not drinking, not going out with your buddies and smashing deep fried wings every Friday night.
Right.
That's where, the rubber really meets the road to see if you really want it or not. Or else you could just say you're bulking eternally and just shove the food down your throat and go from there.
Yeah, I'm still in bulk season.
Exactly. I'm still in bulk, had 9 cheeseburgers today.
Oh yeah. So I never let myself go that far, but I've had those periods where
Yes.
I got 20, 25 pounds overweight.
Okay.
And even that, I was like, all right, you're letting yourself go a little too much.
Yeah.
I actually failed a PT test, and I was like, yeah, I got to stop making excuses.
Yeah.
This is also my career right now. This isn't just about me and my comfort anymore. So what stands out to you as like, how did you, does a characteristic or a trait stand out that helped you through that period of working back?
I think at some point you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Mm-hmm. You get sick and tired of seeing yourself in photos out of shape. You get sick and tired of your clothes don't fit. I remember I tell my clients this story all the time. I had this one suit that I owned, and it was what I call like my fit suit. If I could fit in this suit, I was in good shape. I was in good enough shape. If I couldn't fit in this suit, maybe I've let myself go a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I remember because that's what so many people do, right? Is like they'll train until they look good enough, until I feel good enough. And then they're going to let it slide again. I remember one day I said, I'm done with this suit. And I went and burned it. And I said, I will never use this as a metric again. Yeah. I'm done saying that is the metric, that it's good enough. And so now it's literally about living my life and seeing what my body can do. I like pushing myself through challenges that break most people, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, because the body is the smartest computer ever made. And if you push it and you let it see what it's capable of, if you fail, okay. And I think that's the thing, is so many people are scared to fail that they don't even try.
Right.
Go, freaking try. It's an awesome journey if you go try. Some of the things that you can accomplish. And when you see what your body is capable of, it is such not an egotistical thing, but it's such a proud moment, because you can't buy that. You can't fake that. You can't lie that. You have to earn it every single day. So I think it's just building that mentality of, what am I capable of? And when you find what that mountain is, celebrate it, enjoy it, and then go look for the next mountain. But never stop looking for the mountains.
I think it's important too to actually, can you ask yourself, are you sitting in that comfort zone of good enough?
Yep.
Because good enough is the enemy of great. Like if you want to be better at anything,
100%.
It's so easy to sit in good enough.
Yes. And
we're good.
We see that a lot with nutrition clients at our gym. The one question that I always ask people is, how are you eating? And they're always like, I eat healthy. And then I have them track it, and they about have a coronary when they see how unhealthy they're actually eating. Yeah. But I'm good enough. I'm content enough. Mm-hmm. I woke up today. Well, that should be good enough. Yeah, you woke up today. Now go do something with it. Right. Just because you got blessed enough to wake up, celebrate that for about 2 seconds when you're sipping your coffee. Now you got 24 hours to go accomplish some things. Go accomplish them.
Yeah. Great point. So let's talk the nutrition piece of that journey, because I know there's some lessons learned in this long deficit.
Is there?
So when I say, first of all, I want to make sure I clarify. When I say deficit, what we're talking about is being at a caloric deficit.
Correct.
For your body.
Yes.
And so that whole period of your first prep, you're in a deficit for an extremely long period.
Extreme period.
And so can you talk about what your deficit was? Like, what did that diet look like? And then how long you maintained it and what you learned and the impact that had on your body?
Absolutely. So first of all, I always want to say this up front whenever I'm talking to people. The NGA, the league that I compete in and competed in at that time, were 100% natural. So when people think of bodybuilding, they're like, oh, well, he was also on steroids or he was also on these. No, it was 100%. We're urinalysis tested. We're polygraph tested. All the tests possible. So no steroids were done whatsoever during this prep. We were in such a deficit. I would say we were anywhere between 500 to 750 calorie deficit every day. Mm-hmm. When you're pushing yourself that much, you can create a deficit one of two ways. You can create it by reducing food, or you can create it by increasing movement. So we were literally slow rolling that process. Initially, it wasn't that big, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then that point that you're really only supposed to hold for 2-3 weeks at the end of a prep to really make sure you're dialed in, I held that part for 6 months. So a drastic deficit, continual movement, continual cardio, just no refeeds, no increased nutrition. The body can only run so low for so long. And the one thing that we really learned about at that point was I wasn't running blood labs at that point. I wasn't checking hormonal levels. I was just going off how a lot of people, how do you feel? You know? And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be tired. I'm supposed to be run down. This is part of the process. Well, learning that 9 months or 8 months is not typical. We competed. And then as I started to slowly add food back in the game, I started noticing my body wasn't responding very well. Mm-hmm. I'm always very open about this. I was open to your class about this. Sexually, my body was not responding. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what's going on here? Yeah. You know? And so we went, had blood labs done, and I had tanked my testosterone level. I mean, bottomed it out to where my body just did not want to respond anymore. Yeah. So that's the thing is, people get used to feeling tired. They get used to feeling sluggish. They get used to subpar sexual performance. They get used to so many things because they undereat for so long, but then they do it for so long that they just think that's normal. Yeah. And it's not. You're only supposed to do those things for small periods of time, small windows of time. Bring yourself up to a caloric maintenance, put yourself in a caloric surplus, allow your body to reap the benefits of additional micro and macronutrients to get that train moving efficiently, and it took a good 6 to 8 months post-show just to get my body back to par, which was very difficult for me. It's very humbling for me. So these last couple go-arounds and this season that we're in right now, blood labs every quarter. We're making sure we're on top of that, making sure we're good there, making sure the nutrition is right, making sure the types of foods we select have the right macro and micronutrients to keep me high on everything that I need so I come in my personal and hormonal best. Mm-hmm.
So I think about the takeaway with that is diets for people.
Yes.
Like a lot of times people are like, I just need to not eat, and they'll go at a caloric deficit for a long period of time to try to lose weight, but not understand the impact that's having to their body.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing is we deal with so many people, and I hate to pick on my female demographic, but they are more susceptible to this than males. Social media, in my opinion, has destroyed the female mindset in terms of fitness in so many ways, because you have so many quote unquote influencers who post that they're only eating 1,000 calories a day, or they're stick figures and they're a size 0 or a size 2. So young girls or females are so inept to chase that body type that they're willing to go to such extremes to get there. Mm-hmm. And I think now more than ever, I think it's a beautiful thing. We're starting to see a trend where it's not thin is sexy. We're really starting to see a trend of strong is sexy. Yeah. And you're starting to see so many female bodybuilders be open about, you need to eat. You need to prioritize protein. Carbohydrates are not a bad thing. Food is your friend. And when you can get people to start looking at food as fuel instead of food as good or bad, the body doesn't know what you're eating. It breaks it down into energy. It's a proven fact. Yeah. It's not like there's a bouncer inside your body saying, you're a bad food. You're a good food. You can come in. No, food is broken down, processed into energy, and then utilized for the body. So once you start looking at that and understanding food is fuel and properly pairing it to what your goals are, it's amazing how many of our female clients actually grow lean muscle, lose weight, and actually get their shape eating more than what they would consider normal. One of our greatest success stories is a great friend of mine. She came in eating 1,300 calories a day and was low energy, wasn't training or wasn't building muscle, wasn't doing anything else. I think I've got her up to 2,400 calories a day now. And she calls me almost every other day, I'm starving, give me more food. Yeah. And she's shredded, and I'm like, this is such a takeaway for women to see that you can eat. You don't need to, lick a leaf and sniff a tree and just that's your nutrition for the day. You can eat real food and grow. And it's such a beautiful process when you put that all together.
Absolutely. No, I think one of the things too is sometimes people don't take into account their specific body type, or they'll think in terms of looking at nutrition, that person 1,300 calories was a big deficit.
Huge.
But what if you have like a 5-foot person who's 100 pounds? Is that still a deficit for them?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So what is right for your body type?
Well, and the one thing that we see, we train a lot of parents in our gym. And so the one thing that we see is a lot of parents talk to other parents at sporting events, social events, this, that, and the other. And it's always funny to me where you'll get these parents, male and female, hey, what are you doing? What works for you? What have you tried? And so they'll come back to me and they'll be like, well, so-and-so is trying this. Well, so-and-so is trying that. I'm like, do you even like how so-and-so looks? No. Then why do you care what they say? I'm like, you have to be smart about it. And the thing of it is I don't think it's that nutrition is hard. I think that there is an overwhelming amount of information in the world now with social media of go this route. I've got a better way. This way is better. Do this, do that. It's like, no, if you find a method that works, that you can stay consistent with, that you can enjoy, that you can, if you have a family that you can utilize as a family, that's the biggest thing. It's what can you do consistently and then break your year down in seasons. It's just like sports. You have your preseason, you might be in a little bit of a bulk trying to put on weight. You're in season. Okay. Caloric deficit, trying to get a little bit more lean for summer or a competition or an event or just performance ready. And then you come out of that season, you evaluate how the food, the training, the plan did, and you make adjustments. But I see so many people who are so restrictive. I have women all the time that are like, well, I eat a different meal than my family. Why? What are you showing your kids when you do that? That mom has to be miserable, dad has to be miserable, but they can eat whatever they want. It's okay for them. Like, who are you shortchanging? Are you telling your kid, oh, I don't care about your health enough, so you go get In-N-Out burger, but I'm going to be over here eating this whole wheat organic grass pasta that's disgusting? Or are you showing them that I can't be a part of your life because I'm so obsessed and so concerned with how I look that I'm not going to partake that with you?
That's a good point.
So it's like when you bring the family together, you break so many of those generational chains that are nutrition. Because think about it. We've seen so many shifts in nutrition and health over the last 2-3 decades. What's good, what's bad, what's the health trend, what's not the health trend. And then when you get consecutive with that, then it swaps again. Find those things that teach healthy habits: protein, consistent intake, movement, hydration, sleep and stress management. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be good.
Man, there's so much to take away there. I love the like incorporating it with your family.
It's huge.
Thinking about what is the lesson that I'm trying to teach here is so important. And sustainability.
Sustainability is everything. If it's not sustainable, don't do it. It's not going to work. And even for bodybuilding, well, people tell me all the time, can you sustain the way that you eat in season? I could, but I only do it for the purpose of a season. I only do it to be on stage at that day, at that time, at that minute. And then afterwards, the sustainability is what we have planned afterward. But people think that what you do in season has to be your lifestyle, and it does not. It's sustainability can change for the period that you're trying to accomplish something.
Right. Intentionality.
Exactly. 100%.
All right. So let's get into like the fitness piece, like the specific, like how do you train specifically? What does your workout regimen look like when you're getting ready for a competition? And does that vary from how you're training the rest of the time? Like, how do we change training and stuff?
So the shocker is no. My training doesn't change. And
Okay.
people always expect, I love it when my military brothers call me, can you send me a cut program? Can you send me a bulk program? And I'm like, have you heard of chicken? And they're like, no. I was like, how are you eating? I don't track anything. How you're lifting is not going to work if you're not fueling it right, first of all. But I say that to say this. The biggest thing, like I said, is in off season, we're not necessarily looking to create such a drastic caloric deficit. So cardio is at a minimum if I'm even using it. I institute step count for myself and I institute step count for my clients because I work with a lot of business professionals.
Yeah.
If you're sitting at a desk 8 to 10 hours a day, which a lot of us are, and you go do 30 minutes of hard cardio first thing in the morning, and then you're sitting on your butt for 10 hours, did that really benefit you? It's better than nothing, but realistically, no. If I can have you, hey, let's focus on 10,000 steps today, 12,000 steps today. That takes a concerted effort. So you have to think about, okay, if I'm in the parking lot, let me park in the back instead of getting that princess upfront parking spot.
Right.
If I'm in Walmart, let me take a lap around the store or two instead of going directly to the aisle that I need. If I'm in the office building, let's take the stairs today instead of the elevator. Yep. If you take little steps, it's just like how you eat the elephant. It's one step at a time. If you take those little steps throughout the day, it builds up. So for me, just like we taught you in H2F, I periodize all my training programs, different rep ranges, different sets, different reps to consistently, progressively overload my strength and my muscle changes over time. I train 4 days a week. I train core maybe 2-3 days a week. I mean, my workouts, I'm out in an hour. That's it. So I train for an hour a day. Core is maybe 2-3 times a week. My core routine's 20 minutes tops, if that. And then the rest of it is being consistent with movement throughout the day. My 10,000 step is a non-negotiable. Last night's perfect. Every day. Last night's perfect example. We spent the day doing a whole bunch of things. About 7:30, I look at my watch. I'm at about 7,000 steps. Knew I had to be here early, and I'm like, I'll take the night off. No big deal. And I'm sitting there watching a UFC event, and I'm like, get up and go to the gym. So I went up, and I was like, nope, let's go. So got up, hopped in the car, went to the gym, hopped on the treadmill, got my steps in, and I was like, okay. And that's that thing is like, if you set a non-negotiable, it's truly a non-negotiable. So got up, got it done, went home, went right back to bed. So, I mean, it is what it is. But that's the thing is people make too many excuses for why they're not hitting their non-negotiables. But a lot of people are unrealistic too about their fitness. I see people all the time that are like, I train 7 days a week. Why? Your body needs to rest. Your body needs to recover. 4 to 5 days a week. Good, hard, intentional training is the thing. Right. People spend 3 hours in the gym, but they spend 2 hours talking, or they're setting up their tripods for their next photo, or they're flexing in the mirror. You give me an hour, I will break you in an hour. You know what I mean? But that's the thing is intentionality is the biggest thing. When you're in the gym, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, hit those weights, focus every set, every rep, make it count, lay your week out, know exactly what you're training and how you're training. Don't randomize it. Don't just walk in and say, what am I doing today? Have a plan. Yeah. And then as you have that plan, you slowly execute it day after day, week after week, month after month. You reevaluate based off of, is there an aspect of my body I'm trying to focus on or grow? During seasons, I'll get judges' feedback. Hey, where can I grow? What do you see? And hey, your delts maybe need a little bit more work, or your quads or hamstrings. Okay. So then we intentionally make shifts in the program to focus on those deficits. Just like in life, you should always be focusing on your deficits. Yep. And then you train and you make your deficits your strengths till you have very few deficits.
I like that. And that's with anything. Like you can talk about character strengths. Yes. You know what I mean? Where am I lacking in what I bring to the table?
Very much.
I need to put focus into improving those areas.
Yes.
And then leverage my strengths as well. But that's with anything in life, I think, in terms of that approach. Now, so 4 days a week are intentional, focused training days.
100%.
We're getting 10,000 steps every other day. Is there anything else that you do on those days off? Do you take like active recovery days?
Active recovery for me is just movement for me. So if the weather's warm, it's taking my son to the basketball courts, shooting hoops with him. Being out and about. Active recovery isn't necessarily about doing physical fitness. It's just about being active. So a lot of people on their rest days, they sit on the couch, they grab a bag of Fritos and they watch episodes, whatever they're going to watch. For us, it's, hey, let's just go to the mall and walk around, or let's go to the park, or let's just go do something that requires movement,
Right.
and letting your body rest, but also utilize the carbohydrates that you're giving it. Let the muscles rest and recover, rehydrate, do something that's fun. So that reduces those stress levels and those cortisol levels that really affect a lot of people.
Yep.
And then when you come back to the gym, you've got a renewed mindset and you're happy again and you enjoy it again. You know, that's what we've talked about in class. You know, if you're overtraining, you mentally get fatigued. You mentally get burned out. You have to give yourself space from something, even if it's for a day, in order to miss it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I actually enjoy those days away because it gives me that itch to go back and be like, all right, let's tear it up.
Yeah.
But if you're there every day, grinding, never giving your body a chance to recover the way that it needs to, you're not going to get what you want to get and you're going to burn out.
Right. Recovery is crucial.
It's huge.
All right. So I think that's a good point for us to end this part one.
Okay.
But before we do that, in relation to your weight loss journey, bodybuilding journey, any of that, is there one piece of advice that you would give to the younger version of yourself in relation to those things?
If I could go back and, you know what, if I could go back to my younger self and talk myself out of any of it, I wouldn't. Because I think today we try to protect people, or we try to insulate people from experiences. And those experiences are what build you. Those experiences are what gives you the knowledge to teach that next person. So for me, you know, I was lucky. I never really had any major injuries. I never had any major like roadblocks. It was just, I was lazy. If I could go back and tell myself anything, it would be, you don't have to achieve it every day, but be working towards what you want to achieve. Be consistent, put in the effort, be intentional with what you do. But at the same time, it's okay to fail, because you learn more in failure than you learn more in success. Yeah. So I think realistically, if I could go back to my younger journey or my younger self, it would be like, hey bro, buckle up. You got a journey in front of you. You're going to have some days where it's not going to be fun, but you're going to learn a whole hell of a lot. Right. So just be ready.
And learn from the experience.
Yeah. Learn from your experience.
Yep. All right. So is there anything that you would like to put out, promote for yourself before we close this one?
If you're going to follow me on social media, you have The Garage is the gym that we have. That is, we're on Instagram. We're a lot on Facebook. My own personal Instagram is Danny Ocean. It's Danny and then period O period C, and then you spell out the rest of the word. A lot of people ask where that comes from. It's actually an acronym for opportunity comes even after negativity. So that is where that name comes from. A lot of people think I pulled it from the Ocean's 11 movies. I'm too bald for that. But I always love that, where I tell my clients that opportunity can truly come after negativity in your life. You just have to look for it and seek it out. So I love that. Follow me on those platforms. Just jumped back onto TikTok, same handle as Instagram. Put out a lot of just funny fitness videos, a lot of nutrition and meal reviews, meal preps, things like that people are enjoying. So if you're a social media person, give me a shout.
Yeah. And I love the content you put out. I'll make sure that I drop the links in the comments, make it easy for you all to get in touch with Dan. Thank you all again for tuning in, allowing us to be a part of your journey. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
Part one episode. Make sure you all go like, subscribe, comment with your thoughts and questions to join the conversation, and let's grow.